Hello everyone, David Rabin here, InsaneAthlete.net, and today we're going to go ahead and we're going to go over the use and technique of the foam roller. So you've probably seen these pieces of equipment in the gym before. Maybe you just got one, maybe you're interested in learning how to use them, and that's going to be the purpose of this video, is the correct technique and what you can do on the foam roller. So these are great pieces of equipment for really loosening up the fascia tissue, for really relieving some tension in those muscles that get built up, those adhesions, things like that. I'm not going to go too deep into the benefits. The benefits of using a foam roller are well known. So basically, there's two different types, or there's many different types of foam rollers. And when picking a foam roller, you want to make sure you have one that is the correct density. So for your experience with the foam roller, so as you get more used to the foam roller, you're going to be able to apply a little more pressure, and you're going to want to use a denser foam roller, such as something like this. Getting started at first, you're going to want to use something a little bit softer, something that has a little bit of give. And over time, you will progress to something more denser, and that'll be a little bit easier for your muscles and your fascia to handle. So there are many great areas that you can use on the foam roller. We're going to really just focus on the ones that just about everybody can benefit from. And yeah, so we'll start off with the calves. So the gastrocnemius basically just runs from the back of the leg on the lower part here, and it tends to be tight in many individuals, just because people run a lot, people wear heels, over time, just the stuff we do in our everyday lives really tighten up the gastrocnemius. So a good way of relieving some of that tension there. People who have a lot of, maybe you feel some plantar fasciitis, shin splints, this is a great one that you can do. But just about anyone can benefit from foam rolling the calves. So how we do that is you want to get set up on the foam roller on the floor here, and you can use a mat if you'd like. I don't really mind getting a little dirty, so that's why I don't really care to use the mat. The mat, I also feel like it kind of gets in the way of things a little bit. And you're just going to set yourself up just like this. So the way you have it is you have your one leg bent, and you have your other leg straight and on the foam roller. So this leg right here is not on the foam roller or being rolled out at all. We're only rolling out one side at a time. And when you do foam rolling exercises, you're going to want to do the same thing. You're going to want to make sure you're really only going to want to do one side at a time. With the exception of the quads, everything else should probably be done one side at a time. So you're going to just run nice and slowly down the calf, all the way down, really, really slow. So you'll see people in the gym kind of do stuff like this, and that's really not the correct way of doing it. You want to really just apply pressure, focus on getting into those into the tissue as deep as you can. And if there's any tight spots at all, you want to focus on them. And you can focus on them by just applying pressure and just staying on that spot for a few. Or you can just make some nice, slow, and controlled up and down motions on that specific spot. So you will come across areas that are extra sensitive. There may be some knots there that you want to kind of loosen up over time. And you want to just run with the calf. You want to go just above the ankle, and you're going to go ahead and you're going to go, albeit a little bit slower than I'm going right now, you want to go just below the knee. And you can always turn your foot out to hit more of the lateral head of your gastrocnemius, which is a calf muscle, or you can turn it inwards to hit more of the inside part of your calf. So if there's any tight spots, always focus on those. Try and go for at least 30 seconds. If you have the time, go for up to about 2 minutes would be great for each side. Especially if there's any extra tightness. So ideally, you shouldn't really feel too much pain doing any part of your body. You should really be able to hammer your body in ideal circumstances, but that's about 90% of the time, 99% of the time, it's really not the case. We're a little tighter than we should be. So we'll go to the other side, and I'm going to go ahead and show you guys a modification that you guys can do. So this way of going about it doesn't really apply maximal pressure. It's a good way of just starting out. You have your foot, your leg kind of giving you a spot and getting you on the roller. A little more advanced is to cross your one leg over the other, and you're just going to do the exact same thing, just up and down that foam roller. Nice and slow, even slower than I'm going, if you can. And your arms will get tired. I'm letting you know this right now. Using the foam roller does use your arms quite a bit. Those triceps and those shoulders, they'll burn, and you'll probably need to take breaks, maybe shake it out a bit, especially if you're a little bit newer to exercise. So just be aware of that. It's not a big deal. Once again, you can turn your foot out, you can turn it in. Focus on any tight areas. And yeah, 30 seconds to 2 minutes. Try and make at least a couple of passes on each side. After the calves, another great area I would say just about anyone can benefit from. If you can only do one thing on the foam roller, this is what I would have someone do, and that's just foam rolling out the IT band. So basically the IT band just runs from the hip to the knee, right on that outside side. It's not a muscle, and because it's not a muscle, it's really not really something you can stretch. So that's why I really like the foam roller to kind of loosen up that part of your body. So how you do that, get situated on the ground, and you're just going to be directly on your side. So the IT band runs on that lateral part of your leg, the outside part. So you're going to get situated like this. You can have your arms straight. You might find that something like this a little bit more comfortable. I prefer my supporting arm to be bent, and then I can use this arm to kind of help take some pressure off and guide me up and down that foam roller, as well as the legs. So you want to make it as easy for you as you can, as far as taking weight off and getting up and down that foam roller. So you're just gonna make once again, just a nice slow pass directly on that outside part of your leg. And you can have your leg slightly, just the smallest bit, turned inward towards the quad, and that'll kind of allow you to dig a little bit deeper into that IT band. And you want to go from basically just above the knee, and then you want to go all the way up the leg, just below the hip. Nice slow passes. Any tight spots, and believe me, there will be tight spots, stay on them for a few, or make some nice slow passes just on that one area right there. And yeah, try and make at least a couple of passes on each side, and go for 30 seconds to 2 minutes. So when you do the other side, I'm going to show you guys a modification. So over time, you'll start off with the way I just showed you, which is having one leg crossed over. As you get more comfortable with the foam roller and your muscles get a little bit more tolerable to it, you're going to want to go ahead and you're going to take this leg, and rather than giving you a little bit of a spot, you're going to straighten out that leg, and you're just going to go, basically you're just going to use your arms and your upper body to get you up and down that foam roller. And this is going to put a lot more pressure and weight onto that IT band, and it's going to allow you to loosen it up a little bit easier. So this is going to be a little bit more painful if you're not used to doing it this way. Once again, start off with the leg giving you support. Same exact thing, same exact area. Technique is the same. Nice slow passes, focusing on any spots in particular that need it. Okay. So after that, other great areas is going to be basically the adductors, your inner thigh. And while you're doing that, you can also get your vastus medialis oblique, which is basically that inner quad right in there. Those tend to be tight in a lot of individuals as well. Another just problem area. How you're going to do that is a little bit trickier. You're basically just going to want to set the foam roller up at about, rather than facing you straight away, you want it to be at about 45 degrees away from you. So basically just at a diagonal, and this one's a little bit more challenging to kind of get in the correct position. So you're basically going to get a nice wide stance, and you're going to turn whichever side you're foam rolling out. You're going to turn that foot out, and you're just going to start right on the inside of that hip, and you're going to run all the way down the inside part of your leg with that foot turned out, and you're going to run all the way down to just above the knee. Once again, there will be some tight spots, especially once you get towards that quad. The VMO is usually tight in many individuals, so it's very likely you'll feel some pain here. No big deal, that's good. It means we're getting something out of it, of course. But even if you don't feel anything, especially at first, doesn't mean it's not working. So 30 seconds, 2 minutes to 2 minutes. Nice slow passes, focusing on any tight spots. Once again, I'm going to reiterate that to you guys many times. You got to focus on any spots. You always want to go nice and slow on the foam roller. You don't, just because some guy at the gym is going really fast doesn't mean he's doing it correctly. So a lot of people do this kind of stuff incorrect. Basic movement. So yeah, so not facing straight. You want to bend at about 45 degrees. You're going to turn that leg out, and you're just going to go up that inner thigh all the way to the quad, nice and slowly, and you're going to go all the way in as high as you can, all the way to that inner part of your thigh. And this is really going to loosen up those muscles in that inner part of your leg, which is great. If you do this every day for a few weeks, I guarantee you will notice huge amounts of difference in the way you're feeling, the way you're moving, and you're overall just going to be performing better. Your squats, your movements in your leg, your lunges, your deadlifts, you'll most likely find it, if you are having difficulty with those movements to begin with, you'll find it a little bit easier to get into the correct position with those movements. You'll find your lower body not restricting you quite as much if you do these movements. However, the foam roller isn't going to do everything for you. This foam roller stuff is best combined with a stretching program. So I would recommend checking out my videos on correct stretching, what good areas to stretch are, and yeah, basically just a whole tutorial on static stretching. So I'll go ahead and put that link up here in the screen. Be sure to check that one out. As far as other areas, we'll go ahead, and there are some other areas with the foam roller, and we're going to continue with those. So another great area, this one may or may not feel it. I mean, if you're having problems with your hamstrings, so basically if you're sitting down a lot, your hamstrings are going to be in a shortened position. So your hamstrings are in the back part of your leg, and people who sit, have desk jobs, driving a lot, drivers, they're going to have tight hamstrings, most likely. So if you're one of those people, tough luck, but hey, there's stuff we can do, and that's why we're here watching this video. I'm going to show you guys how you can loosen up the hamstrings. Once again, similar to the calves, basically the setup, it's just the upper part of the leg. So you can start off with one leg giving you a spot, and you're just going to run from just above the knee to just below the glute, and you can even run just slightly onto that glute, and then you're just going to go nice and slow back. As you get more comfortable, you're going to be able to cross one leg over the other, which is awesome, and that's going to apply a lot more pressure on to the hamstring. So similar to the calves, the hamstrings, however, consists of three different muscles: the semitendinosus, semimembranosus, and the biceps femoris. So you can turn your leg out, kind of like how we did with the calf, and run up the outer part of your hamstring, or you can turn your leg inward, just focusing on different parts. You may find some tension built up in certain areas, and if you find some tension, focus on that for a few. The hamstrings, another great one. Another one would be the piriformis. Once again, a lot of people do have some tight piriformis, have a tight piriformis, issues with the piriformis. Another great area to foam roll. So the piriformis is a little bit deep of a muscle, and as so, we can't really just run along our glutes to hit our piriformis. So piriformis is a little bit tricky. How you're going to do it, you're going to cross one leg over to the opposite leg, and it can just sit just above the knee, right on that upper part of the quad. You're going to want to turn to whichever side you have elevated. So we're going to be working our left piriformis. We're going to be foam rolling our left side. As such, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to rotate just a little bit onto my left. I'm going to rotate to my left side, and we're just going to run down that hip and then up. So it's not a lot of range of motion for this one, but if you're doing it correctly, there's a good chance that you will feel some tension there. And once again, just nice slow passes, not a big area, and you're just going to really just apply some force onto that piriformis, nice and slow. 30 seconds to 2 minutes, guys. Every area. You go to that other side, you're going to do that same exact thing, just hitting that piriformis. All right. So that covers most of the areas you would want to use a foam roller for. We'll go over a few more, just so you guys have an abundance of stuff you can do on this thing. Well, there goes the lighting. Go ahead and let's fix that. All right. So the quads are another great area you can foam roll. I mean, we already foam rolled our inner quad, the VMO, but there's also 3 other parts of the quads. So we're gonna go ahead. I mean, after a heavy day of squats or a heavy leg day, a lot of running and jumping and stuff like that, chances are pretty good your quads are gonna be, I mean, they may not feel tight if you kind of just do something like this, or even if you grab a leg and try and stretch them. They may not feel very tight, but there's still a decent chance that there's some tension in those quads. And this is one of those areas where you can actually do both sides at once pretty effectively, and you can really just apply a fair amount of pressure. So you're going to start just below the hip, and you're just going to run down the legs. Nice and slowly, just the front part of those quads. Downward. Any tight areas, stay on them, make some small passes, and then come back on it. So you can turn with the quads. You can also just kind of focus on certain sides or certain parts. If you want to focus on more of the lateral part, you can turn your feet in to some degree, and that'll kind of change where you may be feeling it. You can turn your feet out, or you can kind of do 1 foot in, 1 foot out. You can play with it, you know. Quads are a huge muscle, so you'll definitely a fairly good chance you'll be feeling something in here, in this whole area, because you're going to be, if you foam roll along your upper part of your leg, you're going to be foam rolling your quads. As you get more accustomed, you can cross one leg over, and this one is really difficult. So you definitely want to build up to this, but you can just apply the pressure to just one quad at a time. And how you're going to do that is you're going to do it just how I'm doing it right now. You're going to cross one leg over the other, and you're just going to run up and down that leg. And yep. So focus on both quads at a time. That basically covers the main areas. Another great one is just the lower back. And if you have a stiff back or anything like that, I mean, you can also kind of does a little spinal realignment. It seems like you can hear some pops. Not that that indicates a good thing or anything like that. Basically, you're just going to sit here on your lower back, and you're just going to run nice and easy up that back. You have your hands behind your head. I do recommend actually putting your hands behind your head, kind of get you in the correct position. And you're just going to run up your lower back, up your back, all the way up to just below your neck. So you don't really want to foam roll your neck. And come back down, nice and easy. And do a few passes on that. Definitely another good one. Another one that people don't really kind of overlook this area, and that's the lats. Basically just under your armpit, your pulling muscles. They get used a lot with running or weightlifting. If you're doing a lot of pull-ups, if you have a back day, chances are your lats are going to be tight, and that can cause issues with movement. It can cause issues with posture. Just a whole variety of issues can arise from the lats being tight. So another good one to just kind of foam roll. You're just going to be on your side, and you can have your palm facing out on the ground, kind of like this. And you're just going to run up the side all the way to about basically, I mean, everyone has different lat insertions, meaning they insert higher or lower on your body, but you're going to want to just run basically about halfway, just below the rib cage, and then you want to run all the way up into that armpit area. And if there's any tight spots, stick onto them. And you may need to play around with it a little bit and find a good angle. So you may need to turn your body out a little bit. I'll hit more of the posterior part, the rear part of your lat. Or you may need to turn yourself more onto your side and hit it from more of an anterior lateral angle. So once again, just to review, I'll go to the other side. Arm nice and straight, facing up, externally rotating the hand. On your side, using that leg, you're going to run just from that armpit and run all the way just right around that rib cage area, and then just kind of run back onto it and play with it. So you can angle yourself a little bit, externally rotate, or rotate your body outward or inward. See what feels, where you're feeling maybe a little more pressure, more tension, and focus on that. Last thing with the foam roller is the iron cross. So people, once again, desk jobs, computer posture, people who do a lot of bench pressing and not enough rowing motion, too much pushing, not enough pulling, they're going to have tight shoulders. They're going to be very slouched forward. You're going to see this all the time. Obviously, I'm excessively doing it, but over time, the chest is going to get tight. Those shoulders are going to be tight, front delts. You're not going to really have much very strong scapular retractors or depressors, so that your shoulders are going to be elevated and more forward. And it's mostly just due to some tightness, more so than weakness. Really depends on the individual, of course, but just about anyone who has a desk job a lot, can really benefit from this. And it's really just a simple one. It's not a foam rolling where you're actually doing any movement. This is just a static hold. So you're just going to be on the foam roller right on the middle part of your back, and you're going to have the foam roller supporting your head, and you're just going to straighten out your arms, and you're just going to bring them directly out to your side. And you may not feel much, you may not feel anything at all, which is totally fine, and you may feel a nice, this isn't a very intense stretch, this should just feel a nice moderate stretch. So you're just letting gravity open up those shoulders a bit, which is great. So you want to just hold this one at least for 30 seconds, up to 2 minutes, just like all the other stuff on the foam roller. Yep. So after doing that, that basically covers all the stuff, all the important, great things you can do on a foam roller. Obviously, there's other stuff you can do, but I feel like the stuff that we just went over are the foundational things you should be doing if you're doing foam rolling exercises. Go ahead and give those a try. If there's any areas in particular, chances are there's some tightness there, and those are the ones you should focus on. So if you're doing these and you feel like you're doing them right and you've done them for a while, you're not feeling too much, chances are there's really not any issues there in that area. And that means that you don't necessarily have to foam roll consistently, maybe if you would like to for maintenance. But if there's issues with a lot of tension or a lot of pain, anything that's bothering you excessively, and the foam roller obviously hurts, then something's probably going on there, and you should foam roll that area at least 3 times per week. You can do this just about every day. I would recommend foam rolling either before or after your workout, depending on what works for you. So some people would like to warm up with the foam roller, others like to cool down. Maybe you want to do a little bit of both. That's totally cool as well. Hope this video helped you guys. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Visit insaneathlete.net for any personal training or online coaching, anything like that. Great articles. Be sure to check out my stretching video, my other videos, and we'll see you guys soon.